Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts. Actually, hang on. I want to redo that because Trump's in the UK, so. Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today we're going to take you right across the pond to visit the Queen and our President and amazingly stunning First Lady. It's a fantastical show you're going to see today. It's the 5th of June, 2019. Yes, I think that...
So we started out the whole trip on the best note ever. Okay? With Sadiq Khan.
We started on.
Calling Donald Trump a fascist and all kinds of craziness like that. And I awoke, was it just yesterday? The third, to the most epic tweet for a UK person against a UK person in a while.
Are you going to read it?
I am going to read it.
Okay.
In all my wonderful...
So guess what? We're streaming right now on Periscope for the first time.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about that because most people on Twitter don't ever see my face and they don't even know that we actually exist because people follow us and then we get shadow banned. So, that's a wonderful thing just kidding. Let's see, Trump's tweets. I'm going to try my, we had, let's see, the UK love Trump. By the way, here we go, Stone Cold Loser.
Hang on, Jesus Gonzalez says, this better not be clickbait. I dropped everything. The left in hysteria. No, they literally, they took down an old man in a mega hat.
They took down an old man. They threw a milkshake at somebody.
And what is with this milkshake bombing that they keep doing?
Well, it started with Tommy and the lot.
If I'm going to do something to somebody, and we talked about this the last time with the Nigel milkshake thing, I'm actually going to buy myself a milkshake and eat it in front of them. That to me is far more cruel punishment than throwing it at them. Look at me eat my milkshake. You ain't got one.
So I want you to see the BBC actually with a straight face report on this.
No, wait, we don't have.
Just minutes before Air Force One touchdown, President Trump tweeted attacking the mayor of London, who'd earlier said...
Sorry,
roll out the
red
carpet for him. The president said Sadiq Khan, who by all accounts has done a terrible job as mayor of London, has been foolishly
nasty to the visiting president of the United States, by far the most important ally of the United Kingdom. He is a stone-cold loser who should focus on crime in London, not me. Khan reminds me very much of our very dumb and incompetent mayor of NYC, de Blasio, who's also done a terrible job, only half his height. In any event, I look forward to being a great friend to the United Kingdom and am looking very much forward to my visit. Landing now.
It's so great. Even the second time, third time, fourth time you read it, it's just as good as the first time.
No, but listening to the BBC reporter read it out loud with a straight face, like it wasn't like, Khan reminds me of our very dumb and incompetent mayor of New York City, de Blasio, who has done a terrible job, only half his height. In any event, I look forward to being a great friend of the United Kingdom, and I'm looking very much forward. That's very much forward to my visit. Landing now.
That should be
made my day, baby.
Very much looking forward.
Okay, so for anybody who doesn't understand why this is funny, because you're supposed to be all like prim and proper. Listen. The left throws these hurling insults and calls Donald Trump a fascist and a Nazi. And how are you even supposed to respond to that? The left wants you to ignore their hysterics.
Right.
Because they say it like it's real. Donald Trump is making a joke of their anger and stupidity. And it is epic. Hang on, we're going to keep going here.
Hang on, I'm liking my own tweets. Look, we're literally live on...
Touchdown. Well, President Trump and First Lady Maia were greeted at Stansted Airport.
There's comment. No, Periscope. You have to actually go to the Periscope.
I don't know how to do that.
Well, I'm not real good at periscoping. I don't
by the Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy Hunt said that one of the first things the president mentioned was Sadiq Khan. He told me that the president's visit should be above party politics.
wait, I gotta figure it out. Okay.
This is a president who we've got used to being very controversial and very
Four
combative.
people watching us on Periscope.
You know, he's made the comments he's made. I actually agree with him that it's totally inappropriate for the Labour Party to be boycotting this incredibly important visit. This is the President of the United States. We're celebrating the...
This is the President of the United States visiting the UK. If you have something to say, I will stop the video.
Okay, welcome Periscope people. Periscope?
D-Day landings when we had 1 million American servicemen stationed in the UK willing to risk their lives for our liberty, for democracy, for our values. And I think...
Trump said, I like Jeremy like 10 times during his visit. This is the guy he likes.
Okay.
Because he likes him.
This should be above party politics. So I think it's absolutely disgraceful, not least, frankly, because today in the newspapers, the Labour Party itself is being accused of turning a blind eye to sexism in the Labour Party headquarters, to anti-Semitism by its candidate in Peterborough. So I think we've got to put these things aside and remember this is a very special moment in our relationship.
75th anniversary of D-Day.
75 years of peace and prosperity because of that partnership between the UK and the USA.
Today. This was from before.
Jeremy Hunt, who was amongst those who
D-Day
greeted
was
the president
6th,
at Stansted Airport. Let's go to our assistant political editor.
I know. What I'm saying
Norman
is
Smith,
the
who is in
anniversary of D-Day
Westminster.
is
Norman,
tomorrow.
it's a state visit. It should be more about the pomp and ceremony than the politics. But already the politics have taken centre stage with that Trump that obviously President Trump knew exactly what he was doing when he sent it just minutes before touchdown.
I mean, in some ways, Johnny, you'd say, well, maybe not surprising given sort of the past track record of insults between...
So the fact that Sadiq Khan allowed the baby blimp to fly, the BBC had a baby blimp in their studios.
Yeah. Which it got
then,
stabbed, by the way.
Yeah, and I don't actually condone
me
that
neither.
behavior.
Me neither.
Because my mom thinks that the Trump baby blimp is actually
hilarious.
Hilarious.
I do too. I think it gets a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Good attention.
So, Piers Morgan, says the real big baby in London this week is Mayor Khan, a petty little pipsqueak who'd shamefully rather mock and humiliate the president of Britain's greatest ally than honor the D-Day heroes of both of our nations.
Well said, Piers.
Piers Morgan has been Trump's fiercest ally during this whole trip in the media, even though he disagrees with Trump on a lot of things. Notably climate change and gun
control.
Yeah. So I'm going to play for you a lot of clips that Pierce did an interview, and I don't know if you put that in the description or not, but Pierce's interview with Donald Trump was awesome. You really got to see Donald Trump for who he really was, and I just really enjoyed it.
Are you going to play some of that?
I just said that I was going to play a bunch. I was going to play them.
Okay.
Yeah, be with me.
I was reading the chat.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
you guys can.
So as Trump is showing up, here are some of the craziness. Now this has had already 4.75 million views. The woman here, right here, that you see, who actually looks like the Trump baby blimp. She does,
You're
doesn't she?
You're taken off of YouTube.
She
That's
does.
It. We're gone.
She does.
You just baby blimp somebody.
She works for the NHS in the mental health department, overseeing tests, and she's had to come out and apologize for making her peaceful protest violent.
She looks really peaceful in that.
So
picture
here we
right
have
there.
a Trump supporter right here, and you're going to see that he gets milkshaked.
She's really screaming.
And then she laughs as he gets milkshaked. And everyone cheers, and the police officer is right there. And she's just getting pummeled.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is your left in hysterics.
Just a little bit, baby.
For one.
This is what I told everybody on Twitter, because nobody sees my tweets.
Go ahead. Finish your sentence.
Zombie apocalypse. This is what happens during World War
zombies.
Z.
Yes.
They've been bitten.
But on Periscope, we actually have 6 people watching right now. One Nation 20 says, Donald didn't get the open carriage ride that President Obama did. Donald didn't speak at Parliament. President Obama did.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna watch this again because you got to see this.
Okay,
So yesterday,
when you yell it that way, it hurts your voice. Yeah, tell them what you did.
yesterday I was trying to explain to Michelle and kind of give her a visual of how people were acting, and she said, "Stop! People are going to call the cops." Was that not a good impersonation?
It was very good. Wow. And this guy is visibly upset, and he should be. He wasn't doing anything from what we can see in this footage.
Yeah, I'm wondering if
I still say it's a waste of a
third
milkshake.
stream here is causing a little bit of a slowdown. We shall see. There, okay, we found her. I told you I wasn't the one who made it up. I told you she looked like a Trump baby blimp.
Worth a look says it's a disgrace.
Okay, that one
This
was
is hard to watch.
a little bit. The guy I felt like he could kind of hold his own. The poor police officer, I didn't feel like could. But what they've done here to this older gentleman.
I didn't go to watch. It's really good.
This is a Trump supporter, and they're trying to take away his flag or his stuff, and they literally just push him down. An old man.
What is up with that?
She says it like, if you act like that, you act like Donald Trump. So don't. Donald Trump doesn't go around pushing old people to the ground. You're worse. You need to see that again. They're literally demonic, yelling and pushing this guy down, saying, in like a demonic voice, "Immigrants are welcome here. Immigrants are welcome here," as they push this poor old guy down, who's not saying anything about immigrants.
I can't. It's so difficult.
So literally supporting Donald Trump gives people license to hurt you.
Right. That's crazy.
And nobody really cares. They're just kind of walking around. Oh, some, older gentleman who's the Antifa doesn't care. And here's the thing. These Antifa groups, these leftists, they're still on their social media accounts. These are the ones who talk about violence.
Right.
And say Donald Trump, the big thing Piers Morgan had on anti-Trump people. And their two things is, he's the guy who went up and said, grab him by the blanky blank. Well, let me just clear that up one last time. He was on a bus meeting with a Bush guy, for Access Hollywood. And they're doing locker room talk, which I don't approve of. But he says these girls are so immoral. They're so loose. They'll let you go up and grab them by the blank. He doesn't say, I go up and I force myself on him. This is the lie that gets halfway around the world.
Right.
What he's saying is they're a bunch of daggum hoes. Okay? And they will do anything to get ahead. They'll eat, and he laughs about it. And you have to admit that a lot of these women in the media will do anything to get ahead.
Absolutely, right.
And it's absolutely disgusting and it's repulsive. But that's number one. He didn't say go up and do this. He said they let you. And that's the line that literally his line. They let you. Well, hoe gonna be a hoe? I don't know. Okay?
This is our family-friendly show.
I know. Well, here's the thing. Somebody's got to explain this thing. They hear it in school.
Right.
And then the next thing they say is Donald Trump is caging children.
This is the best one.
Right? But
I have to tell you.
Obama was the deporter-in-chief. He deported 4 million immigrants.
And those photos
And the
have been
photos
taken from Obama's era.
We're from, with the chain link fencing.
Right.
Were taken, but nobody said, but when you tell that to a leftist, they literally go blank because they don't have a talking point for that.
Yeah.
Their talking point is Donald Trump is caging children.
Well, and I have to tell you, like, when I think of that, to me, it's insanity because when they choose by their own, volition to come here in droves, they have to understand that you've come here illegally and we need to be able to separate you so that we can look at your claim and process you correctly. What else are you supposed to use? Do they expect us to build housing for all of the? Yes, they do. But you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, so if it wasn't chain link fencing, if it was something more sturdy that they couldn't see through, would that be more humane, or do you just let them all flood in here and go? So the idea of a child being, stood behind, well, guess what? When I played softball and we were waiting to go out on the field, we were behind a chain and we kind of put our hands in there and we're like, hey, batter, batter, batter. I mean, seriously, you use these things to kind of quarantine people off. And it's a cheap and easy way to do it,
right?
And a quick way.
And they're saying, kids have died in custody, but that they don't tell you is that their parents have,
in most cases, given them also to these child traffickers.
Okay, it may not even be their parents, because confirmed 1/3 of all children are in no way related to the people who are trafficking them up the border. These are not a lot of them are not these people's children, and what are you supposed to do? Let them into the country with these traffickers who brought them over here? You have to confirm identity in the first place. What are you supposed to do? What's your answer?
Yeah.
Okay, these are borderless people. And in one case, it took 2 weeks and the poor child died in custody because they were dehydrated, because whoever was with her didn't get her any water and didn't feed her and didn't care about her.
Okay, so now that sums up the facts, I think, of the fact that they're saying immigrants are not welcome here.
Right.
Or immigrants are welcome here in defense that Trump is anti-immigrant. But like you said, they were saying it in some sort of demonic,
from what I've watched,
crazed.
Everybody hates Donald Trump, but that's not true.
So there's something deeply disturbing about President Trump claiming that he saw thousands of people here who were celebrating him and welcoming him as a rival.
So Donald Trump said there's thousands of people welcoming me who love me here, and MSNBC says there's something deeply disturbing on the fact that Trump thinks that there's people here who are supporting him.
Wow.
If you are seeing this, just know that the great...
It does go down.
Okay.
They're shouting, "We love Trump."
And look, that's thousands of people.
United Kingdom love you, we are with you, we stand with you, and we want you to succeed. Forget about the people in London, forget about the establishment, forget about the detractors in the fake news media. The real people out there in the United Kingdom, we love you, Mr. President!
That is so awesome.
So you needed to see that.
So on YouTube, hang on, there was a comment actually to that point. Let's see. So Gez says, girls, as a Brit, the vast majority of normal British people admire your president. The protests were very small and magnified by our mainstream media. It's that
And
simple.
our media as well. So you needed to see this just because I felt like it was hilarious.
No, that's fine. Do you think?
So there's Donald Trump on a potty.
Everybody's got to go, baby. You got to go. I got to go. He got to go. Everybody got to go. I mean, like maybe if he was pooping on like something specific, it would have been a better float. Yeah. But like everybody's got to go. Like that's just a fact. It's just a fact. So I don't see that actually as a.
So here's another view of the people who actually were cheering for Trump.
It's the same one, right?
It's another clip.
Right. I'm just saying I think it's probably the same crowd.
Just know that the great deplorables of the United Kingdom love you, we are with you, we stand with you, and we want you to succeed. Forget about the people in London, forget about the establishment.
You could hear that, the deplorables in the UK.
I love that.
Let's see. All right, so I was like, isn't there anybody who has anything good to say about Donald Trump? Well, Nigel does.
Yeah.
There's a notice, there's a growing respect for the president in this country. Sure, there'll be protests and all the rest of it, but I think the argument that sovereignty matters, the argument that nations need to be free to be proud, yeah, he's here at a good time. The great thing here is, what a huge success. Buckingham Palace, those scenes earlier, the helicopter arriving on the lawn, the inspection of the Queen's Guard. Look, it couldn't have gone better, so they're desperate to find something to criticise him for. And I'll say this to you, I bet you President Trump is going to bed tonight thinking, wow, what a day I've just had. And he got to spend time with the Queen. And, you know, I've discussed the royal family, I've discussed the Queen with Donald Trump. His mother, of course, was born in Scotland. She had a great reverence for the Queen, as does Trump. And think about this, the two of them sitting down together and talking, the two most famous people in the world, sitting down talking, getting on, saying, look, it's been a superb day.
And Nigel got a chance to visit with Trump, by the way.
He did, and Trump did not meet with Jeremy Corbyn.
Well, and the last time that Trump went, his relationship with Nigel almost had to be like hushed. It wasn't quite as you know, now that Nigel's Brexit party won a majority, I think, also has given Nigel this amazing footing where he has to be treated with respect in the UK. And so I think that opened the door for him to be able to meet with Trump officially, for everybody to know about it. And
well, he said he's asked a lot about Brexit, and he was asked about Brexit, and he said that he believes Nigel Farage should have a seat at the negotiation table.
Yeah.
So, okay, are you ready to get into some pomp and circumstance?
Yes.
Okay. The fuzzy hats. Here they come. His sober face. Trump does really good with his sober face.
Yeah. He's very respectful of the pomp and circumstance and ceremony of, you know, the royal family and the monarchy. And can I just say that Melania is just drop dead gorgeous.
I need that
she
outfit.
Is amazing.
But I wouldn't look like that, so just keep it, girl.
She puts Jackie O to shame, I have to tell you.
Are you kidding me? Everybody. There's never been any first lady in the history of the world. With the fuzzy heads. I can't see you! Move!
I love that they were playing so many of our patriotic you know what I mean? Our songs. That's what I was trying to get out. But I couldn't believe it when I was listening to this. I was like, wow. It's, you know, they were really doing an homage to the unity between the UK and the United States.
Yeah, it's
they're
awesome.
in the old hatchet of that tiny Revolutionary War.
All right, so here, President Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, and the Queen Elizabeth participate in a royal gift collection review. So when you want to chum it up with the royals, of course, it's not going to play big. Queen can't be big. It's not going to play at all.
Oh, and it's really cute to watch her go around.
You want to see this? Do you want to see this?
I know.
Let me show you.
She loves Donald Trump. Like, I think she was as giddy to see him as he was to see her.
Try to make her big. I feel like that looks like George, but it's not. It kind of.
I doubt that. It might be.
They're making. No, it's not. I don't know.
Are you sure?
Somebody's.
Doesn't look like Washington to anybody else.
A little bit.
I doubt it. But it could be. I mean, these are the royal archives. I mean, maybe it's like an original.
Royal
Gifts, yeah.
Okay, let me show you this. I want to show you that. I want to show you this. I want to show you that. You're going to go this way. I want to show you this.
Look at her. I'm in the way.
She loves him so much. She loves Donald Trump. Come here. I want to show you this.
And I think she's one of the only people that could pull that print off.
She's 4 years old.
I said to Horatio, I was like, you know, she looked really good to me considering the fact that there's been so many rumors about her health. And he goes, there's always rumors about her health. It doesn't make it true. So obviously this kind of like curator tour guy is kind of telling them, and they are working so hard to pay attention. And Melania actually seemed genuinely interested. I think that Trump was doing a good job of looking interested, but I bet he had a million things going through his brain at that.
Can you even?
Yeah, it's like you have to, half your brain has to be paying attention so you can talk about what you just saw. The other half of his brain is probably somewhere else.
So Piers Morgan talked to him about this state dinner and how kind of important it was.
Yeah, there are almost 4 million visits. Every year, there are almost 4 million visits by Americans to the United Kingdom. with a great number claiming British descent. And with your own Scottish ancestry, Mr. President,
Prince William and
you
May
too
there.
have a particular connection to this country. We are also bound by the strength and breadth.
It's my show, and I'm allowed to say that seeing Camilla with the crown makes me sick.
It does.
The fair.
If you haven't seen
chief.
our Virgin Diaries, what was that, episode 4? You need to watch that, and you also need to watch the rap that we did.
I call her the hoe.
And yeah, because Camilla was not good.
Of our economic ties, as the largest investors in each other's economies.
Maia
British
corrected
companies
you,
in the
she's
United
93.
States employ over 1 million
you, Maia.
Americans, and the same is true vice versa. Mr. President, as we look to the future, I'm confident that our common values and shared interests will continue to unite us. Tonight we celebrate an alliance that has helped to ensure the safety and prosperity of both our peoples for decades, and which I believe will endure for many years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you all to rise and drink a toast to President and Mrs. Trump, to the continued friendship between our two nations, and to the health, prosperity, and happiness of the people of the United States.
This is so great.
Well, it's a shared anthem.
I'm just saying. It's awesome. Robin Poe says Queen Elizabeth has outlasted Queen Victoria. Britt Baza says Michelle Trump is the only president of the U.S. to receive a 41-gun salute in his honor. Sadiq, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
So I guess royal family people get to wear the crowns. I want a crown.
I have that crown upstairs. I almost brought it down to
tiara. I want to wear a crown.
tiara.
I know they have rules about that stuff, but that's just stupid. Everyone's a princess.
I mean, America, seriously, look how cool this is. I mean, look at that guy's hat.
They should
It's
just
very
give
fairy
Melania a crown.
Yeah.
You wear
The
this
honorary
little
crown.
tiara.
Yeah. Where is Melania? Is she over there? Next to, Charles? And that escaped me for a second.
Wait. Now we drink.
Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious. It's like, it literally is like watching, a storybook unfold before you.
You had to get it on a really short roster to get in that room. You know what I'm saying?
They're probably all lords and ladies and special ones at that.
Yeah. Well, there you have the state dinner. The red
Oh
carpet.
my gosh. Annette says Trump decks her in jewels, I'm sure. I'm sure she does have plenty.
Oh, here's
but look
when
at her getting off, and look how she looks.
Man alive. When I saw that outfit, I was like, jeez.
Now, let's keep in mind that Charles is future king. And so when Trump is kind of creating a relationship with him, I hope, like Jay says, I hope that the queen lives to be 120, okay? But she is 93. It's possible that Charles will become king during Trump's, presidency if he serves 2 terms, which he probably will.
They got to keep that carpet of grass real stiff because girls are always walking on it in heels.
That's so true. Do you know how hard it is to walk in grass in heels?
It's like, you're just 6, man.
Jay wants to know, what did she drink? What are you talking about? What did she drink? Did I miss something?
Was it alcohol? It was a toast.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you would think it would be something like that. I mean, it's a very good question.
So, I'm also going to play this one because this was Trump commemorates the...
On D-Day, the Queen's beloved father, King George VI, delivered a stirring national address. That day he said, After nearly 5 years of toil and suffering, we must renew that crusading impulse on which we entered the war and met its darkest hour. Our fight is against evil and for a world in which goodness and honor may be the foundation of the life of men in every land. This evening, we thank God for the brave sons of the United Kingdom and the United States who defeated the Nazis and the Nazi regime and liberated millions from tyranny. The bond between our nations was forever sealed in that great crusade.
Let me just say,
As
this
we
outfit
honor
here,
our
I
shared
love this
victory
outfit
and
with the
heritage,
hat with the socks.
we
That's a
affirm the
big
common
set of socks.
values that will unite us long into the future. Freedom,
Who's that guy?
sovereignty, self-determination,
He's got a lot of ribbons.
the rule of law, and reverence for the rights given to us
Nervous.
by Almighty God.
Maybe he's
So
like a
wait.
secret serviceman for
From the Second World War.
Okay, this was kind of important. I wanted you to see his face.
Okay.
You're just like a little kid.
I know I am.
Okay. I can't even go back.
What?
I can't. Now I'm frozen. I love my life.
Freeze frame. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, just stopped it. But it's okay.
All right, so Britt Baza says, Michelle, the crown that the queen wears is so heavy that if worn wrong, it can break Lizzie's neck. Only the monarch is permitted to wear a crown. Well, that would be awful.
Okay, I wanted you to hear
Thank
this
God
part.
for the brave sons of the United Kingdom and the United States who defeated the Nazis and the Nazi regime and liberated millions from tyranny. The bond between our nations was forever sealed in that great crusade. As we honor our shared victory and heritage, we affirm the common values that will unite us long into the future. Freedom, sovereignty, self-determination, the rule of law, and reverence for the rights given to us by Almighty God.
I don't have to look for that
From
one.
the Second World War to today, Her Majesty has stood as a constant symbol of these priceless traditions. She has embodied the spirit of dignity, duty, and patriotism that beats proudly in every British heart. On behalf of all Americans, I offer a toast to the eternal friendship of our people, the vitality of our nations, and to the long-cherished and truly remarkable reign of Her Majesty, the Queen.
On that day, and on many occasions since, the armed forces of both our countries fought side by side to defend our cherished values of liberty and democracy. Mr. President, in your State of the Union address this year, you paid tribute to some of the American heroes who risked their lives.
She gets a crown.
And we owe an immeasurable debt to the British, American, and Allied soldiers who began the liberation of Europe on the 6th of June, 1944.
She's so sparkly.
I paid my first state visit to your country at the invitation of President Eisenhower.
I love this part.
As Supreme Allied Commander, he had ultimate responsibility for the execution of the Normandy landings. In his headquarters in St. James's Square, not far from Buckingham Palace, British and American officers worked closely together to plan the freedom of a continent. And it would be no exaggeration to say that millions of lives depended on their common endeavour. And with your own Scottish ancestry, Mr. President, you too have a particular connection to this country. We are also bound by the strength and breadth of our economic ties as the largest investors in each other's economies. British companies in the United States employ over 1 million Americans, and the same is true vice versa. Mr. President, as we look to the future,
Every time she looks to him,
I'm confident that our common values and shared interests will continue to unite us.
Pretty cool, actually. It's incredibly interesting. And in his interview with Piers Morgan, he was asked, "What did you guys talk about?" And he's like, "I can't tell you." Let me see if this is a different video.
Your Majesty, Melania and I are profoundly honored to be your guests for this historic state visit. Thank you for your warm welcome, for this beautiful weather, your gracious hospitality, and Your Majesty's nearly 7 decades of treasured friendship with the United States of America.
Wow.
I love that he thanked her for the weather. Like, thank you. I'm like, okay, that just confirms climate engineering to
So
me.
I'm not going to play all this video. I just wanted to give you an idea of, like, this is the first video I watched.
This was the day that they got there.
And he played, this is Trump paying his respect to the fallen heroes at Westminster Abbey. And I'm really just going to take you through this. And just kind of give you an idea of what it was like. And then he got, like, a tour of Westminster Abbey. And some songs from the boys' choir. Okay.
Hang on, Britt Bozza says, Michelle, a small fact here. The Queen is the only leader at this ceremony that has actually served in the armed forces in World War II as an army mechanic. I did not know that. Thank you for that.
I didn't know that.
That's absolutely, she definitely is a rarity. And so as I'm watching all of this, I'm kind of processing in my mind what I think about the monarchy as an American. Not that I should have exactly a view on it, but I kind of do. But at the same time, it's very difficult not to be influenced by the Queen and then me having a favorable view of the monarchy. She's very conservative. She loves her country. She wants Brexit. And I've seen through history how, like, example, that doesn't surprise me at all. That's a perfect example of who I envision the Queen as being. That being said, if it was, Prince William or, even Harry, even though unless something happens to William, that's never going to be an issue. But I don't know how I feel about them. I don't know how I would feel about the monarchy if they were leading it. I guess I would probably still have, how they always say, respect the president, respect the office, but you don't have to respect, the man that's holding the office. You just have to respect that office. That's a very honorable position. So I think that I still do. I have to be honest. What you guys have over there in the UK is something really, really special with the monarchy and being able to have democracy, even though as a constitutional republic, that seems like a dirty word, but you understand what I mean. Have a democracy in addition to kind of still having that monarchy. I think that they balance it pretty well.
Yeah, and I think about it all the time. I don't want any royals. I don't want anybody to be born into anything. However, the monarchy represents to me his history.
Exactly.
And the history of Great Britain. And it's almost like, okay, if you're born with an extra limb, don't cut it off. I'm just kidding. But seriously, it's to kind of keep the memories alive, because if you forget the past, then you're doomed to repeat it, things like that. But there are good things about Great Britain, despite what a lot of people say about colonization and things like that.
Yeah.
So I want to play a little bit of the D-Day commemorations here.
Ladies and gentlemen, when I attended...
Look how cute she is in that hat.
Today we're wearing pink, and we're not wearing...
the commemoration of the 60th anniversary of the D-Day landings, some thought it might be the last such event. But the wartime generation, my generation, is resilient, and I'm delighted to be with you in Portsmouth today.
Meaning we stay alive longer.
75 years ago, hundreds of thousands of young soldiers, sailors and airmen left these shores in the cause of freedom. In a broadcast to the nation at that time,
She's doing a good job hanging on to her papers.
Father, King George VI, said, What is demanded from us all is something more than courage and endurance. We need a revival of spirit, a new unconquerable resolve. That is exactly what those brave men brought to the battle, as the fate of the world depended on their success. Many of them would never return, and the heroism, courage, and sacrifice of those who lost their lives will never be forgotten. It is with humility and pleasure, on behalf of the entire country, indeed the whole free world, that I say to you all, thank you.
Thank you.
So, we can talk all day long about who funded these wars, why they started, and that is something that on Resistance Chicks, it's a topic that is kind of near and dear to our hearts because we don't ever want to see that repeated. That being said, those men from Great Britain, from here in the United States, from all over the world, were fighting for something, and they gave their lives for something in a way that these young soy boys or girls or whoever, today would not be able to do. So when they talk about it being the greatest generation, unfortunately, because of what happened during the greatest generation, imagine that every single person in your country and in our country knew someone intimately that died. That's how many people died. So an entire countries suffering a massive loss. It's a big deal when someone in your neighborhood, right? Or your community passes away. But when you have such grief, the grief that happens in a family and in the people that they all touch, when that one person dies, they've got hundreds of people whose life they have affected, and now they're mourning. And so those hundreds of people are mourning that person plus however many other people. And I think that that's when the shift of our country happened. It's also why we are so fervent about speaking out against the people that started and funded these wars, because they kind of ruined our country. It's gone downhill from since then. I could say that about everywhere around the world. So I think it's really important that we honor the lives of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for freedom for people that they didn't even know. It wasn't just we didn't enter into this war just for our country. We did, but we didn't. And the same thing can be said for Great Britain. It was kind of like we were thrust into it, but then when you're there, these men are fighting because they know that they're fighting for something.
Right. All right. So I'm going to play some of these clips that I thought were really fantastic with Piers Morgan and Donald Trump.
Our economy is pretty much stalling in this country because of this ongoing Brexit fiasco, as many people see it. The Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, apparently wanted to see you. You declined that kind of invitation, and he spent the most of today shouting and screaming about it.
You can leave it small. They can see it.
It is small.
Okay. There is a chance, if this goes wrong for the Conservative Party in the next few months, he could end up Prime Minister. Could you imagine actually doing a trade deal with Britain with someone like Jeremy Corbyn as a leader?
It's always possible. Anything's possible. I don't know him. He wanted to meet. It was very tough to meet and probably inappropriate to meet, to be honest with you. A lot of things are happening right now with respect to our country and your country, my country. Let's call them almost the same, because I feel that way. It's really a tremendous relationship. So I don't think it was appropriate to meet him, but I would. I certainly would. I'd have no problem with it. I think it's a long shot when you say that. It's not, I don't think it's going to happen.
No leader, it seems to me, would allow Britain to effectively sell the NHS.
Now, this was kind of a big thing because Trump's Treasury Secretary or whatever secretary said something about if the trade dealers if a trade deal is on the table, then the NHS is on the table. And the way Piers Morgan actually talked about it later in being interviewed on the interview, he's like, this is the art of the deal. You start way up here.
Right.
He's like,
as a realtor, he said, you've got a building that's worth 100, or he says, I want to sell it for 180 million. And you go, that's ridiculous. It's probably only worth 18, but you give them 90 and you're happy about it.
Yeah.
That's the art of the deal. And Trump's been in real estate for 5 decades.
part of the trade deal. Would you, as the American president, see that as a deal breaker if none of the NHS was on the table?
I don't see it being on the table. Somebody asked me a question today, and I say everything's up for negotiation because everything is, but I don't see that being, that's something that I would not consider part of trade. That's not trade.
That's not trade, he says. That's not trade.
The entire interview with Piers Morgan was, like you said, it was very fair. Piers Morgan is the only one that Trump did an interview with, and I think he did it because he knew that Piers...
he's his friend.
He can exactly, but he also conducts an interview properly. Like you said, he asks the questions, he waits for an answer.
He did with Donald Trump,
and he will exactly. Thank you. I'm not exactly a huge fan of Piers, but he does conduct interviews kind of in the way that you normally should
in this interview.
You know, and so I'm just saying, I think that this particular interview gave me hope because a truth was able to get to go out to the UK people.
This interview was so popular. They're airing again tonight. It's already aired, I'm sure. And this is going to paint Donald Trump in a really good light because it's who he is.
I kept hearing, because I've been through some pretty big things, okay? Right. And I kept hearing, I'd watch the news, I'd see the news go on, and they'd say, he's never had to handle anything like this. When he walks into that unbelievable room in Buckingham Palace, and he sees everybody that's there, and he looks at, the place is breathtaking, as you understand better than maybe almost anybody. And they said, I was noticing people saying, will he be able to handle the moment? I said, oh, wait a minute, I've had some pretty big moments. But I have to say, sitting there, I understood what they meant. It was really something.
So where does it rank?
Well, it's right up there. I mean, I had an inauguration, which I have to say was spectacular. And we had a big election night win. That was, you know, one of the great evenings. And outside of the personal things.
You and the Queen seem to have a natural rapport. She seems warm.
We had a great rapport. We had a conversation that lasted for an hour and a half, nonstop.
Really? What are you talking about?
I think really we were. Well, I better not. I'm not going to say.
Any little hints?
I hear that we are not supposed to do that. So, in fact, I said to her, "Tell me about this. I promise I'll never tell anybody about it. So I'm not going to break my promise in one day."
That's very. I mean, you were unusually, if you don't mind me saying, well behaved last night. You seemed like you were on best behaviour, as if the Queen was somebody that you absolutely wanted to show maximum respect to.
Well, I have great respect for her, and yes, I think I think I'm on good behavior most of the time, but certainly last night, and I really got what I usually call them the fake news media, because oftentimes they are fake, but I really got what they were saying, because when you walk in there, the moment is very impressive, especially when you're walking in with the Queen, and she can walk as fast as I can, but they don't do it. She walked very slowly, and, you know, the certain drain of music, and then later on we had the bagpipes from Scotland, and that was
we gave you the full 9 yards of
I think he gave.
So there was that, and then I liked his answer here on Piers Morgan, because Piers Morgan's an anti-gun guy.
After the Las Vegas mass shooting,
right.
I brought up the issue of bump fire stock and why it was legal when it was used to convert illegal weapons to illegal ones. And you did ban bump fire stock.
I ended it.
I don't think you got enough credit for that. There's just been another massacre in Virginia Beach where the shooter used a silencer. Yeah. What is your view of silencers? Would you like to see those banned?
Well, I'd like to think about it.
I thought they were
nobody's
illegal,
talked about silencers very much. They did talk about the bump stock, and we had it banned, and we're looking at that. I'm going to seriously look at it. I don't love the idea of it. I don't like the idea. What's happening is crazy. Okay? It's crazy. What's going on with schools, and not only in our country. I mean, not only in our country, but again.
But America has a particular issue with gun violence. You and I have discussed this for years.
Sure we have.
There's been 150 mass shootings in America this year alone.
Yeah.
You know, in Britain we have 35 gun deaths a year. In America today there'll be 85.
Yeah, but you know,
tomorrow 85.
But in London you have.
What can you do to change the culture?
But Piers, in London you have stabbings all over.
Sure.
I read an article where everyone's being stabbed.
Well, we've had about 50 odd stabbings. We've had 50 odd murders with knives this year.
Well,
in London.
They said your hospital is a sea of blood all over the floors.
We have a big. I'm not going to deny we have a problem with knife crime.
It's a sea of blood, and they don't have.
We have a problem with knife crime. What do you think you can do as a president, though, to change the mindset about gun violence?
Just talk about it. You have to talk about it. But Piers, when somebody has a gun illegally and nobody else has a gun because the laws are that you can't have a gun, those people are gone. They have no choice. They have no chance. They have no chance. It's a very tough subject. But the bad guys are not getting rid of their guns. Pretty much everybody agrees with that. The people that obey the laws, if there was a law passed, they get rid. Those people are sitting ducks. You know, the one I think about the most is Paris, where they had so many people killed, where that wacky group of people went into the nightclub, and they just boom, 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 and they killed like tremendous numbers of people, horribly injured. So many more still in the hospital. I read the other day. Some are still. No, but if there was a gun on the other side, right? If one or two or three of those people had a gun,
here's my problem with that argument. Here's my problem with that argument. More people were shot dead in America that week than have died from guns in Paris since the Second World War.
I'm just telling you.
I mean, the stats are so against that argument, aren't they?
Well, what are you going to do? You're going to take the guns away from hunters? You have hunters.
No, I think you can have special licenses for hunters. Yeah. And actually, I sort of subscribe to the view of the right to bear arms, allowing someone to have a handgun or something for home thing. I don't understand, never have understood, why anyone in America needs a semi-automatic AR-15 assault rifle at home. Why do they?
Well, a lot of them use them for entertainment. They do. I mean, it's really.
The gun's entertainment.
For some people, it's entertainment. They go out and they shoot, and they go to ranges, and they have a tremendous amount of fun.
And specific hunting with licenses, I get that. What I don't get is the need. This guy in Vegas had 13 AR-15 assault rifles. He bought 52 guns in 1 year. I mean,
and he was a sick guy. And if it wasn't guns, he would have done bombs, or he would have done something else. He was actually a pretty smart guy. He was supposedly a good, successful gambler, and there's almost no such thing as a successful gambler. And he went out, and what he did was incredible.
Well, he did something.
But he would have done.
The bump fire stop, Mr. President. To give you credit on that again, you did get bump fire.
He used the bump stop.
You got it banned,
right.
And that will make a difference. I urge you to carry on.
He thinks that'll make a difference, and I know it turns it into an automatic weapon, but we've been over and over that, saying that a good rifle person would actually kill more people,
right?
With a scope, that bump fires aren't very accurate. And at the same time, I want to talk to Piers Morgan. Do you care about deaths, or do you care about? I really wanted to show you that because I wanted you to see Donald Trump, his answers. But mine to Piers Morgan go in a different vein because in America alone, 40,000 people die in car accidents, and I think it's over 1 million people are injured in car accidents a year. And anti-gun people are always saying, if it helps save one life.
Right.
Well, if it helps save one life, then you would ban all cars.
Yeah.
They don't care about the lives. They want
Right.
to take away your ability to protect yourself. And people like Piers Morgan and some people, they do it out of this idea that if they ban the guns, just like with the knives. Okay, so you don't have guns in the UK, but kids are going around knifing people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then now you're having to take away kitchen knives, screwdrivers, and things from people because they still want to kill people. They still want to stab people.
In the UK, how many times have we seen cars plow into crowds of people?
Exactly, and you have bombs, and it's like it's a mentality. Death is a mentality, and I would say you need love, because in America, kids in the 50s and 60s, they would take their guns to school, and they had shooting classes in school, and nobody shot anybody.
Right.
There's a mentality change, and if you're trying to go after the guns and not go after the mentality, and what happened? Right. Well, you'll see the biggest shift is when moms left the home and the kids didn't go home to mom anymore.
Right.
And they went home to video games. They went home to have sex with their neighbor kid down the street. They went home to get into trouble, smoke pot. I mean, crazy things that, when you add them all up, lead to like a disabled lifestyle. When you look at the poor kid in the Parkland shooting. His mom had called the cops on him several times. He was a mentally disturbed person, and she was reaching out for help, and no one helped her.
And speaking of, exactly.
And somebody like him who is mentally disturbed shouldn't be allowed to have a gun.
Right.
Shouldn't be allowed to have a gun. And his mom letting him buy a gun in the first place was crazy and insane.
Well, I don't think his mom let him. He was too young to buy a gun.
Well, he had a gun.
Right, but he didn't buy it. I don't remember.
I believe
the
it was
details
his
of
gun.
that.
His mom let him do shooting.
Somebody might
his
have
mom let him
but what
do
I'm saying
shooting.
is he couldn't have bought it. Somebody must have bought it for him or whatever. But you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about mental illness, because you said this earlier today when we were on our dog walk. You said a person that's going to kill somebody thinks first to themselves, I'm going to kill somebody, and then they say, oh, I have a gun.
Right.
Not, I have a gun, now I'm going to kill somebody.
Piers Morgan
if you're
talks
mentally
about
disturbed enough, that's what you're going to do.
Piers Morgan talks about the gun deaths. Well, a majority of those are gang violence gun deaths.
Right. And Trump has hammered gang violence
And what you have in
over and
London
over and
is
over
the
again.
stabbing of these gangs.
Yeah.
Okay, the stabbing rituals of these gangs. If you eliminate gun deaths or gang deaths and suicides, your numbers are down. And I think it's only like 203 people are killed with these AR-15s a year. So these numbers don't add up.
Well, I'll tell you something about.
If you
the
want to
AR-15.
talk about the AR-15, go ahead.
Okay, so when we went into full prep mode, I would say about 6 years ago. Not full, but we decided, you know what, something's coming down the line, and we kind of want to be prepared for all scenarios.
You don't want to let them know everything that we have.
Okay. Well, I don't mind telling people this because we've already told them this before. So we went into the gun shop and we talked to people who had been in the armed forces. And they were the ones that were selling these weapons. And when it came to, we literally just asked them, this is why we would like some weapons. What would you advise us to purchase? One of the best, or I guess they said, a Mossberg, 500 shotgun.
It's for home self-defense.
Home self-defense. But
I'm not a fan of it.
But we said, we would want something that can be used, for self-defense, but also if you want to use it for hunting, what would you, and the guy pulled out an AR-15. He said, this is kind of what we used, over,
and for cheaper bullets, you can, put it at 22 on there.
You can put a 22 converter. But my point is, this is the weapon of choice from somebody that was over in, I don't know if it's Afghanistan, but served, legit SAL time on the ground, in the Middle East in wartime. And this is the weapon that they said, this is what you are going to want.
What's so funny is it looks scary. We don't want to make this about AR-15s. It looks scary, but it's just a rifle.
Right.
It's just a rifle.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is him talking about transgenders in the military.
You tweeted your support for the LGBT community around the world where they're being persecuted or excluded.
It's terrible.
Which does prompt the obvious question. If you feel that protective of the LGBT community, why did you feel the need to ban transgender people from serving in the US military?
His answer
because
here is really
they
good.
take massive amounts of drugs. They have to. And also, and you're not allowed to take drugs. In the military, you're not allowed to take any drugs. You take an aspirin. And they have to. After the operation, they have to. They have no choice. They have to. And you would actually have to break rules and regulations in order to have that.
But the cost of the medication is minuscule compared to
talking
the
about the
overall
cost.
budget.
So
Right?
weird.
You accept that.
You also
But
have the
the
cost
US
of
military spends a lot more money, for example, on giving Viagra to service men and women.
I don't know, we
service
did
men,
that.
I didn't know they did
than
that.
it does actually on medical bills for transgender people. And so it just seems to me an
And that's not
unnecessary
true.
thing for a guy who wants
Medical
to be
bills for
supportive
transgenders,
of
the
LGBT
surgery is-
rights and the community around the world, that you've taken this action.
Well, it is what it is. Look, massive amounts, and also people were going in and then asking for the operation, and the operation is $200,000, $250,000, and getting the operation, the recovery period is long, and they have to take large amounts of drugs after that for whatever reason, but large amounts. And
Those are such good points. They have to take a
not
lot of drugs.
the way it is. I mean, you can't do that.
You can't take drugs in the
So
military.
I said, yeah, when it came time to making a decision on that, and because of the drugs, and also because of the cost of the operation,
Some
people were going in.
transgender people in the US military have won serious gallantry awards.
Yeah.
What do you feel about?
Well, I'm proud of them. I'm proud of them. I think it's great. But you have to have a standard, and you have to stick by that standard. And we have a great military, and I want to keep it that way. And maybe they'd be phenomenal. I think they probably would be. But again, you have very strict rules and regulations on drugs and prescription drugs and all of these different things, and they blow it out of the water.
Here's the deal on that specific topic. Nobody has the right to serve.
Right. No.
Do you know how many people over the years who have desperately wanted to serve because their grandpappy served and, their uncle served and their mother served and their father served and everybody in their family served, and because they're missing a toe or their eyesight isn't...
I had a friend whose uncle had too much earwax in his ear.
And they can't... So it's like, okay, guess what? If you are, and let's not even talk about whether it's a real thing or not, if you are a person who is the wrong gender, trapped in the wrong body, It's kind of the same thing as the height requirement. Okay? You can't be...
Weight requirement.
I mean, seriously. It's like, I'm sorry you have a disability.
Right.
It's that simple.
Exactly.
It really is. Because
and what if
you're
on
the
the
wrong
battlefield,
gender, trapped in the wrong body, that is going to affect you. You cannot... Yeah. I don't think I have ever heard a transgender person come out and say... I'm a transgender, I'm in the wrong body, and I have no issues whatsoever. I'm completely fine. I function normally. It doesn't bother me. Being in society doesn't bother me. I have no issues whatsoever. I'm totally cool. Don't need to get the operation. Don't need to do this. Absolutely zero wrong. I'm the wrong person in the wrong body, and I can function just fine. Said no transgender person ever. So yes, even if you believe that it is a real thing, okay, and I'm not going to say on this show, y'all know how I feel about it. And I'll tell you, it's stupid. But even if you believe it's a real thing, it's a problem. It's a real problem to wake up and think you're the wrong gender.
It is a real problem. And to
whether it's a physical issue or a mental issue, regardless, you have a disability. And there are so many people that are born with disabilities and they can't serve.
Exactly.
You don't have a right to serve.
All right.
I will say, being president of the United States, even the way they treated me, I think I have a very good relationship with the people in the United Kingdom. But is it me or is it the country? Our country loves your country. I love your country.
Well, you're half British, aren't you?
I am half. I mean, if you think about it, right?
I'm half. Well, if you think about it. All right. So, Pierce, I'm going to just play this so you can see how much he enjoyed his interview with Donald Trump.
Now then, it's the interview everyone wanted, a sit-down chat with the President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Piers Morgan got the global scoop. In fact, he's been sitting here on his phone.
He looks like the cat that ate the canary.
He's been soaking up all the admiration.
I've actually been gloating against these two.
Here's a taste of what was said.
It's been an incredible trip. Last night was really quite unbelievable with the Queen, because that is a great woman.
This Meghan Markle business.
Essentially, I didn't know she was nasty about me. So I said, but you know what? She's doing a good job. I hope she enjoys her life.
Could you imagine actually doing a trade deal with Britain with someone like Jeremy Corbyn as a leader?
I don't think it was appropriate to meet him, but I would. I certainly.
On the table, Nigel Farage.
I guess. Well, Nigel's another one. I like Nigel.
Who's the British Trump?
I don't want to say. I don't want to destroy.
Give me,
I don't want to destroy anybody's career.
If you had a.
Piers joined us now. It's lovely to see you. Congratulations on a brilliant interview.
Thank you.
How does it come about? I mean, you're kind of friends with him now. Do you text him to arrange, or you're coming over?
I used to have a lot of regular contact with him. It goes back to when I appeared on Celebrity Apprentice back in 2008. I've known a long time. And I won the first season of Latin America, and then I went back on as his boardroom advisor at most years after that, doing a couple of episodes. So I got to know him very well. Then I went to CNN in New York, and I interviewed him maybe 35, 40 times. So I built up a very good relationship with him. And suddenly this guy that I consider quite a good friend becomes President of the United States.
Yeah.
And it's quite surreal, even now. You know, when I see him, we're friends, and yet he's the most powerful man on earth. So it's a strange dynamic.
He obviously has some bulldogs around him who want to make sure that you keep.
We talked about the length.
I didn't know until Sunday. I definitely was enjoying himself, which he normally does with me. Because we don't, I don't go in there to try and make a name for myself by playing gotcha with him or metaphorically clubbing him over the head. Because A, the interview would last 3 minutes and he'd be kicked out. And B, I'd never interview him again. I see a potential here where Trump could be president for another 6 years.
So does it mean you have to go soft on him?
No, I don't think so. I think if you watch the whole interview this morning, I think there are parts when I'm soft with him, parts where we're having a laugh together, and parts on things like climate change and gun control and his ban on transgender people in the US military, where I really go quite tough on him. I think you can be all those things in an interview. What I won't do is be rude to him, and I won't be too bombastic against him just to make a name for myself. I don't need to do that. This guy is the President of the United States, and he's in this country, let's not forget, to commemorate the D-Day anniversary. That's why he's here. And if you don't like Trump, fine. He's a polarizing character. But do respect the office, particularly when I think he's on a state visit for that reason.
Okay, so I'm going to end that there. All right, so I thought this was a really great trip for Donald Trump and for Britain and America's relationship.
I want to throw in... Go ahead, you finish.
I just see... Piers Morgan was, interviewing somebody and said, after Brexit, there's going to need to be a trade deal between between America and the UK. And if there's a Labour government and you've treated him horribly, you're not going to get the best deal for our country. And the Labour leader who he was interviewing, I don't remember her name, she's like, well, we're just believing that we're going to be part of the customs union and we're going to be part of a larger group to negotiate. That was her talking point. She's not thinking to herself that we're going to have to negotiate on World Trade Organization terms or anything beyond. Labor is we're going to be part of the customs union, and that is it.
And you don't have that for a surety, and so that's ridiculous to not
and to
talk
see
about all contingencies.
The Labor and the left and the politicians on the left burning these bridges is shameful and embarrassing. But I think that Donald Trump himself was able to take their narrative and shut them down with respect and honor and duty. And it really just showed the left for their hysterics. And now they're walking away with the tail between their legs, embarrassed, whereas they wouldn't have needed to be ashamed.
Exactly.
But now they are.
Right. Another highlight that we need to talk about before we sign off here of Trump's visit is when Piers was talking to him about what he said about Meghan Markle, who's married to Prince Harry. Trump had said that, you know, he doesn't know her, but she said some very nasty comments about him. Well, of course, the mainstream media twisted that and said that Trump called Meghan Markle nasty.
Right.
Well, actually, no, it was very true that she said some nasty things about Trump. And so Trump clarified that. And then Piers Morgan then reiterated that to the people that he was talking to as well. So if you guys are not following Lynette Zhang, I want you to be following her. She's put out some videos. She thinks that an economic reset could be
around the corner.
Around the corner. She thinks her Black Swan event may have already happened. So I want you to go and check out, she's at ITM Trading on YouTube, by the way. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because Patriot Gallery had gotten a conspiracy theory, and we'll call it that for right now. I have no problem doing that. That Trump has utilized this state visit to talk to the Queen about the upcoming and looming economic reset, because we also saw the Bilderberg meeting happen last week. If you're not familiar with them, they are pretty much comprised of all of the powerful people that control all the governments and everything in the entire world. They get together when something has to happen. So Trump came out and said, here comes all of these tariffs on Mexico starting at 5%, increasing to 25% if they don't stop the flood of illegal immigrants coming over to our country. That in and of itself caused the markets to do a big kind of shake, and a lot of people went scared.
About those markets is they shot back up.
Right. So we don't know what's going on, what has happened, what will happen if Trump does impose tariffs on one of our allies, essentially. We will see. That being said, as Resistance Chicks family, I want to present to you guys all of the facts and what the financial minds that we trust are saying about this economic reset. Listen, guys, the dollar bill is at 4 cents. Before the Federal Reserve in 1913, it was at 100%, 100 cents. So in 100 years, a little over, we have lost almost the entire value of the dollar through controlled inflation. They use inflation to control our nation and to control the economy. They only have 4 cents left before boom, and we're at this teetering tipping point. What we'll go to then, we would love to see gold and silver. We would love to see real money back into place, but could go to Bitcoin. We don't know what it'll go to. That being said, the dollar bills that you hold will be valueless, like Venezuela. So, and I actually have those Venezuelan dollars, I think, that Brian had sent to us. They'll be as valueless as this right here. So I want you guys to know that is coming. What can you do? Prep. If you have any money, any paper dollars that will be as valueless as this, buy gold and silver. It's that simple. So we love you guys.
And and we'll cover maybe tomorrow the Vox apocalypse. Vox is, and you guys might not even know who they are. They are a left-wing news outlet, media outlet, who got YouTube to do this ad apocalypse and demonetize Steven Crowder's whole channel. And not only that, but they're going after small and independent creators, demonetizing their entire channels.
Right.
It is called the Vox Ad Apocalypse. We're probably going to be caught up in this, where none of our videos will be monetized at all, which isn't a big deal. We don't make a living on this, but many people do.
Right.
We actually got into doing this, thinking that we could start making a living, and in the beginning, it looked like we could.
They put the nix on us really fast.
But the way we were gaining subscribers and ad revenue was putting us up to where, as our channel, if it was going to keep growing in 2017, the way it had started to grow, this would be our professional job, and we would just do this full time.
Right.
But they put the kibbutz on that, on I would say 50%. And now they're taking whole channels saying you can't monetize any of your videos, even if you make a lipstick video or something like that. And it's all because these left-wing crazies, and I talk about it like this, and I'm going to do a video later on this. We'll probably talk about it on our Friday show. It's when you're in a boxing match, and this is from Stefan Molyneux, when you're in a boxing match and the left, they can't win. So they have to drug their opponent.
Right.
So they drug us, they straitjacket us, and then they beat us up and they say, look, we're winning.
Right.
But they go to these big tech companies and they throttle us, they shadow ban us. I have people just today telling me, I wasn't seeing your tweets for a while. Now I'm seeing some tweets, and I realize that nobody sees my tweets. I realize, our Resistance Chicks page, I see the numbers. We were reaching thousands and thousands of people, and now we're lucky if I can get something to reach 600 people.
Right.
That's a big day. You know?
Here's the deal. YouTube now operates in the red. The only way that they're able to function is because they're owned by Google, that operates in the black. So what's going to happen as they continue to shoot themselves in the foot? Jay is right here in the chat right now, and he's starting the Patriot channel.
Right.
I believe that as YouTube continues to shoot themselves in the foot, other channels and other places are going to start popping up like weeds and taking off, and YouTube will go the way of
and
MySpace.
it's really awful, because as Stephen Crowder says, the concern is with the ad apocalypse is how quickly and without warning YouTube can remove independent creators' livelihood, where they have a lot of these independent creators. I don't know, Stephen Crowder has over 3.7 million subscribers on YouTube. The amount of views that he gets per video and so these people, what they did is they created a living. And so when you take away their living without saying why, without giving people warning to change their behavior, it just literally going and saying no. Yeah. Okay? Nobody understands YouTube's terms of service. Right now, you're going to be demonetized totally for doing Flat Earth and other conspiracy theories, any Sandy Hook conspiracy theories. You're going to be totally demonetized, your whole channel. Things like that, which is so funny, because YouTube was the place where people go and talk about aliens. YouTube was a place where people go and talk about the things that the mainstream media doesn't talk about. What are they going to demonetize the Discovery Channel when they talk about Bigfoot?
Right, or ancient
or the
aliens.
Loch Ness Monster, or ancient aliens, or angels and demons, and all these things are conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
None of them have been proven, and yet the most damaging one is Flat Earth and Sandy Hook. You know what I mean? And I probably said it's probably some sort of algorithm. Okay, Sandy Hook was real, but it doesn't even matter, because Alex Jones has come out and said that it is. So they took him down anyways, and that was his big sin, right? But how many crazy conspiracy theories have gone around? I'm done. We have to sign off.
We do need to sign off. We'll talk way more about that. You said perhaps tomorrow, we shall see, but we will be here on Friday
at 6.
At 6 p.m. Eastern
Sunday
Standard
at
Time.
1 for our European news.
And we will be back.
We have a P.O. box.
107, Milford, Ohio, 45150. If you send us your letters, we will read them on air. We do have a mail call we'll be doing on Friday.
Yeah, we got some fun stuff.
So, Britt Baza says, Michelle, can you do the White Cliffs of Dover? We didn't have time to prep. You're just lucky that you got this show today, to be perfectly honest, because we're so busy. So I didn't get a chance. But for those of you that want to feel the feels, you can look up that song and kind of get your little British flair on. So thank you for that song suggestion, Barry. We love you guys. God loves you. God bless. Remember,
it's not just a conspiracy theory
if it's the truth. And we will see you guys back on Friday for sure. God bless, guys.
Faux show.
I was caught